The Tasmanian Dogman. Dear Scary Stories NYC. When I turned 18, my parents paid for me to spend a month in Australia with my pen pal. That was a way you made friends overseas before the internet. And believe it or not, it was in Australia that I saw the only cryptid I ever laid eyes on. It was a kind of a dogman, but it had to have also been a marsupial. Whenever I read about the American dogman, I wonder if that also is a marsupial, like a kangaroo, or a possum, or the Tasmanian dogman. So, one of the activities my friend Trevor had planned for us was to go camping at the Tea Tree campsite, technically located in Karata, South Australia. I say technically because I never called it Karata while I was there. I called it Kangaroo Island, which is its name. You can probably figure out for yourself why that island was named Kangaroo Island. It's off the southern coast of Australia, and it's got kangaroos living wild on it. It's also not really all that far from Tasmania, which is also off the southern coast of Australia. I did get to visit Tasmania, but only for one day. It was interesting, but I wish we had spent more time there. We saw this one thing they had up in this place explaining about the Tasmanian tiger, or the thylacine. They had an old black and white film showing of one of these creatures, and it looked more like a dog to me than a tiger. It had stripes on its back, but other than that, it was a dog. Except it wasn't. It was a marsupial that had evolved parallel to dogs. In other words, it looked like a dog. It sounded like a dog, and I wouldn't be surprised if it smelled like a dog too, but it was not a dog. You could hardly tell that though, as there were such minor differences. For one thing, the thylacines were able to open their jaws far more widely than a dog can do it. Just little things like that, which tell you that this Fido is not actually a Fido at all, but its own separate kind of being. Keep that in mind, as I hope I remember to get back to it. If I don't, please remind me. Anyway, what was I telling you about? Oh right, Kangaroo Island. It's a pretty wild island for the most part, at least from what I saw of it. More natural than natural in a lot of places. It's just jungle land in this part we were camping near. The campsite itself is pretty modern and has picnic tables and so forth, but once you go off on a trail, I swear it looks like you've gone 1,000,000 years back in time. In fact, that's one of my theories to try to explain what happened to me and Trevor, which I'm about to launch into. So, we set up our camp and told each other scary stories over a late afternoon fire. Trevor told me that there were man-eating feral kangaroos on Kangaroo Island, and I couldn't tell if he was joking around or what. Then, in the waning light, we decided to follow a dirt road into the tropical woods which surrounded us. We were wandering on the jungle path next to the campgrounds. Our idea of fun was just to walk randomly through there, then try to find our way back. This was before GPS on phones and all that, so it was a stupid game, and we could have maybe gotten ourselves lost. Or worse. I don't think either of us would have even considered doing what we were doing if we had realized that those woods were inhabited by an Australian version of a werewolf or a dogman. We were trying to follow the dirt path, but sometimes we'd lose it, only to find it again. For me, it was a quite unique experience, as I'm from the Midwestern United States, and I'm used to extremely different kinds of forests. So I was about as happy as I think I've ever been, when suddenly, my friend Trevor grabbed me by the arm kinda tight and hard. With his other hand, he pointed somewhat dramatically in front of us to the side. Following where his finger was pointing, I looked through some leaves and brush, and I swear, at first, I thought I was seeing a big gray dinosaur. Trevor pulled me down with him behind some kind of green plant, and we hid silently from the creature's view. I could hear it over there, maybe 20 or 30 feet away from us, and I couldn't believe it hadn't heard us approaching, or smelled us even. I don't really know how dinosaurs work though, so I just tried to follow Trevor's lead. After a few very tense seconds, the beast walked a few steps out into partial view for me, if not for Trevor. My eyes feasted on the sight, as it was not a dinosaur at all, but the largest dog I had ever seen. Probably I should call it a wolf more than a dog. It was something in between, but it was the size of a pony. It was large enough to ride, although I doubt it would be compliant if anyone tried to. Maybe we were seeing into the past, or maybe the past walked into the present. There was one part of me that was panicked and wanted to run or cry. And there was another part of me that was just like, wow man, that's a giant prehistoric direwolf or something. So I was shaking one way from the fear, and another way from the excitement. And I was a real mess over there. The big dog though, he was chilling. He clearly had no idea we were there. Although how much longer that situation would remain the status quo, that was open for question. So this huge, pony-sized, gray-furred, long-snouted, wolf-eared dog surprised both of us by rearing up on its hind legs and stretching. I mean, it stretched and yawned like a man would, extending its arms out to the side. Note I called them arms and not front legs, because that's what my eyes were seeing. And when this creature yawned, it opened its mouth so wide that I thought its skull was going to split in two. No dog could open its jaws that wide. Indeed, no dog could. But a marsupial evolved parallel to canines could, like the allegedly extinct thylacine or Tasmanian tiger. This beast could be somehow related to the much smaller thylacine, or possibly it might have evolved parallel to both the canines and the marsupials. Obviously, that was not then my area of expertise, nor is it now, so I can only take wild guesses. This animal had been 4 or 5 feet tall at the shoulder when it was down on all fours, tilted up and standing on its hind legs. Now this thing was over 10 feet tall, and it was terrifyingly immense. It used its height to carefully study the surrounding jungle in every direction, except, for some reason, ours. Trevor says we had a guardian angel hiding us from the Dogman on that afternoon, and I don't personally have a better explanation. So, I expected the Dogman to drop back down to all fours before trotting off in whatever direction it chose. But nothing like that ever happened. The creature had seemed slow-moving and relaxed, like a bear at rest. I wasn't even sure it could move very fast, and in fact, I even wondered if it was elderly. And then the big, upright dog jerked even more fully upright before running silently off into a dense part of the woods that I couldn't see into. I didn't understand how he could move through bushes and trees so silently, but it was happening anyway. Trevor tugged my shoulder, and we ran in the opposite direction until we arrived back at the campsite and safety. When we got back and told some strangers who were there about what we had just seen, some of them laughed at us, and others accused us of hoaxing everyone and trying to scare people. If anyone believed us, they were too afraid to say it in that atmosphere. One guy asked if it was the Yowie, and when we asked him if the Yowie had the head of a wolf, he scoffed at us and joined in with our haters. We went back to our tents feeling dejected and more than a little scared. What if the wolf man came back to our tent in the middle of the night? Now nobody would believe us if we cried out for help. We'd be the boys that cried wolf, right? And that's not a good thing to be. For that reason, the two of us booked it out of there, first thing, as soon as the sun came up. I wanted to leave sooner, but Trevor nixed that, saying that traveling at night through those kinds of woods can be equally as dangerous if there's a dogman there, or not. I have no idea if he knew what he was talking about, but he was the native, not me, so I just went with it. After that, I found myself less interested in Australia's natural side and wanted to learn more about their culture and cities. I'm glad I got to see it too while I still could. Seeing the remarkable jaw action on that Tasmanian Dogman from Kangaroo Island, I now wonder if the American Dogman might also be a marsupial. For that reason, I would like to put in a request for anyone who happens to witness any kind of Dogman in any country or continent. Please make note of how wide it's able to open its jaws if you possibly can. If you notice a female Dogman, might she possibly have a pouch like the kangaroo does? If you managed to survive an encounter with a mother Dogman, what information were you able to notice about her biology? Was it more mammalian or more marsupial? Inquiring minds want to know more about the Tasmanian Dogman. Sharon Smirnoff, Hagridella. She's our EP Cinderella. Please join us in thanking today's executive producer, Sharon Smirnoff, for making this episode possible. In return for her generosity, Sharon receives our weekly Sunday secret uncensored Dogman stories. Far too wild to tell on this channel. And you know what? You can gain access to our perks too. Now here's international TV spokesmongrel Henry Lee Dogman to explain further. Thank you. Thanks for watching till the end. If you liked what you saw, please consider clicking like on the video or sharing it with your friends and family that you think might also be interested. If you would like to see more of our work, please consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon next to the subscribe button so that YouTube will alert you when we put out a new video. To become a channel member and gain access to our special perks, you can click that join link under each of our videos. Another option is to join our PayPal subscribers club at peterbernard.com. You can join for as little as 99 cents on YouTube or $1.50 at peterbernard.com, and that gains you access to our weekly secret uncensored episodes. If you'd like to see our 21 hours of archives of uncensored Dogman stories, then please join at the $3 level or above. To get to watch our shows in advance of the public, please join at our $10 level. That gets you all the perks. If you join our channel memberships, you need to check our community page here on YouTube in order to get the links to the secret videos and other perks. If you're in the PayPal subscribers club, Peter will email you all the news and links himself. Once joining the PayPal club, which is Peter's homemade club, please give him a chance to see that you've joined and to compose you a personal welcome email, as none of that is automated. But whichever you join, we'll name you an executive producer for the next available episode. Do you have a scary experience that you'd like to share with us? You can email us at scarystoriesnyc@gmail.com or call our Scary Stories voicemail hotline at 804-LA-SCARY. That's 804-537-2279. It's a Google voicemail box, so that means it keeps cutting off after every 3 minutes. If your story is longer than that, please keep calling back and we can piece it together on our end. Good night, and have a scary tomorrow.
Come back for more scary stories.